Hi, I'm Joshua Milligan, and this is my informative speech for Public Speaking 1315. A political decision can be an intricate part of your life. It can make or break a city, a town, a state, or even a whole entire nation. There are three main things that go into making a political decision. That's researching the candidate, making sure that you stay bipartisan, and making sure that you don't regret the decision that you make later on. But before we hit these 3 points, let's talk about what is a political decision. Well, that's simple. It can be defined as one sentence. A political decision is deciding on what political official or political issue to vote for. Now that we've talked about what a political decision is, let's talk about the first point, researching the candidate. Whenever you decide that you want to go vote and you want to elect an officer or an official to put into office, you need to make sure that you research everything about them. You got to check their voting records and make sure that they're qualified for the position that they're in. If you go up and you just vote for somebody and you have no idea you don't know who they are, or you don't know their background or anything about them, you really don't know who you're putting into office. You need to go and check their voting records. If you are for or against abortion and you're voting for someone who says they're against abortion, but you don't go back and make your research, you might miss the fact that, hey, this person actually voted for abortion a while back, and he's actually for it. And he's just saying he's not because he wants you to vote for him. Check everything about their voting records, and just make sure that they're not somebody that, says that they're some big business guy and that owns a huge business and really knows how to run things, when in all actuality, he never went to college and he worked at McDonald's his whole life. And just make sure that you know who you're voting for. Make sure you research your candidate. The second thing is you got to make sure that you stay bipartisan. Don't just vote for a Republican because you are Republican or because you are Democrat and vote for Democrat. Make sure that you're voting on somebody who's going to really benefit you and your country. And that brings us to another point. Make sure that you're not selfish and you don't, let's say the good example of this is if you are a Texan and you're from Texas and you own a lot of land and you're a farm guy and everything's going great, but Rick Perry is up for office and you decide you don't want to vote for him because he's for the Trans-Texas Corridor. And the Trans-Texas Corridor, you don't want it going through your property because it's going to hurt your farming stuff and it's going to take away a lot of your land. But you got to stop and think, hey, the Trans-Texas Corridor, it could benefit everybody else. It might hurt you, and it might hurt 10% of the rest of the state, all these other farmers that it might cut through. But it could really benefit 90% of the rest of the state. Bring a lot of jobs in and make communication easier and faster for truckers or people who have to drive from, let's say, Waxahachie, Texas to downtown Dallas. And it could really benefit everybody. And make sure that you stay bipartisan. Make sure that that you're not selfish and that you vote for someone in an issue that is going to help everybody and not just yourself. And that brings us to our third point, is whenever you make a political decision, make sure that you vote in someone that you're not going to wind up regretting later on. A good example is all these people who decided that they wanted to put Obama into office and now they're crying because he raised the taxes, and now they're wishing that they hadn't voted for him, and they're regretting it. For people who voted in President George W. Bush, and they really thought, hey, this is a really good guy, and he's all for peace and stuff, and then he's going to come in, and next thing you know, on the papers everywhere, you see a war. He brings us to war, and now you're regretting putting President Bush into office. And don't be that person. Don't make sure that you don't regret the decision that you make. So, in conclusion, whenever you're going to make a political decision, make sure that you research everything about that official. Make sure that you stay bipartisan. And if you do your research and you stay bipartisan and you're not selfish and you vote for someone who's going to help your country, then you won't regret later on the decision that you made. And you'll have made the good, successful political decision. Thank you.
That was a 4 minutes.